He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. I don't know where all of you are, of course, but it is bone-chilling where I am. I think for half the country, too. I've never seen temperatures like this on a consistent basis. Oh, my goodness. You know, I didn't have enough time yesterday to get to something that I wanted to play for you, so I'll do it at the top of the hour here. And there are other things I do want to get to. And in many ways, I view this program as alerting you to things that are going on in our communities, going on to our country and with our country, so you're aware of it. And not just to bring you news and philosophy and economics, although we'd like to do that too. And I want to do that after I play this for you. Justice Antonin Scalia was one of the greatest public officials in our history. Not just Supreme Court justices, public officials. And unfortunately, he died suddenly of a heart attack at the age of, I think it was 80. And he is greatly missed. And he was not just a practicing Catholic, he was a strong believer in God and Catholicism. And I believe one of his kids is actually a priest. But I wanted to play something for you, and I'll play it now. Something he said in 1997. 1997. At a Holocaust memorial speech. And you'll say, Holocaust, didn't we cover that yesterday? That's not the point. I want you to listen to what he's saying about Germany and about the West and Western civilization in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. This is a brilliant, brilliant man. So let's take a listen. I hope you'll continue to listen. Turn up the volume. Call everybody around the radio. Here we go. Cut 10, go.
I was profoundly honored to have been invited to present remarks at this annual ceremony in remembrance of those consumed in the Holocaust. But it is not, I must tell you, an easy assignment for a non-Jew to undertake. I am an outsider speaking to an ancient people about a tragedy of unimaginable proportions that is intensely personal to them. I have no memories of parents or children or uncles or cousins caught up in and destroyed by the horror. I have not even that distinctive appreciation of evil that must come from knowing that 6 million people were killed for no other reason than that they had blood like mine running in their veins. More difficult still, I am not only not a Jew, but I am a Christian. And I know that the anti-Semitism of many of my uncomprehending co-religionists over many centuries helped set the stage for the mad tragedy that the National Socialists produced. I say uncomprehending co-religionists not only because my religion teaches that it is wrong to hate anyone, but because it is particularly absurd for a Christian to hate the people of Israel. That is to hate one's spiritual parents and to sever one's roots. When I was a young man in college, spending my junior year abroad, I saw Dachau. Later, in the year after I graduated from law school, I saw Auschwitz. I will, of course, never forget the impression they made upon me. If some playwright or novelist had invented such a tale of insanity and diabolical cruelty, it would not be believed. But it did happen. The one message I want to convey today is that you will have missed the most frightening aspect of it all if you do not appreciate that it happened in one of the most educated, most progressive, most cultured countries in the world. The Germany of the late 1920s and early 1930s was a world leader in most fields of art, science, and intellect. Berlin was a center of theater. With the assistance of the famous producer Max Reinhardt, playwrights and composers of the caliber of Bertolt Brecht and Kurt Weill flourished. Berlin had 3 opera houses, and Germany as a whole no less than 80. Every middle-sized city had its own orchestra. German poets and writers included Hermann Hesse, Stefan George, Leonhard Frank, Franz Kafka, and Thomas Mann, who won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1929. In architecture, Germany was the cutting edge with Gropius and the Bauhaus School. Musical composers, it boasted painters like Paul Klee and Oskar Schlemmer. Musical composers like Anton Webern, Alban Berg, Arnold Schoenberg, Paul Hindemith. Conductors like Otto Klemperer, Bruno Walter, Erich Kleiber, and Wilhelm Furtwängler. And in science, of course, the Germans were preeminent. To quote a recent article in the Journal of the American Medical Association, in 1933, when the National Socialist Party came to power in Germany, the biomedical enterprise in that country was among the most sophisticated in the world. German contributions to biochemistry, physiology, medicine, surgery, and public health, as well as to clinical training, had shaped to an important degree the academic and practice patterns of the time. And clinical training and research experience in the great German clinics and laboratories had been widely sought for decades by physicians and basic scientists from around the world. To fully grasp the horror of the Holocaust, you must imagine, for it probably happened, that the commandant of Auschwitz or Dachau, when he had finished his day's work, retired to his apartment to eat a meal that was in the finest good taste, and then to listen perhaps to some tender and poignant lieder of Franz Schubert. This aspect of the matter is perhaps so prominent in my mind because I am undergoing currently the task of selecting a college for the youngest of my children, or perhaps more accurately trying to help her select it. How much stock we place in education, intellect, cultural refinement, and how much of our substance we are prepared to expend to give our children the very best opportunity to acquire education, intellect, cultural refinement. Yet those qualities are only of secondary importance to our children and to the society that their generation will create. I am reminded of words written by John Henry Newman long before the Holocaust could even be imagined. He wrote, "Knowledge is one thing, virtue is another. Good sense is not conscience, refinement is not humility. Liberal education makes the gentleman. It is well to be a gentleman. It is well to have a cultivated intellect, a delicate taste, a candid, equitable, dispassionate mind, a noble and courteous bearing in the conduct of life. These are the connatural qualities of a large knowledge. They are the objects of a university. But they are no guarantee for sanctity or even for conscientiousness. They may attach to the man of the world, to the profligate, to the heartless. Yes, to the heartless. It is the purpose of these annual Holocaust remembrances, as it is the purpose of the nearby Holocaust Museum, not only to honor the memory of the 6 million Jews and 3 or 4 million other poor souls caught up in this 20th century terror, but also by keeping the memory of their tragedy painfully alive to prevent its happening again. The latter can be achieved only by acknowledging and passing on to our children the existence of absolute, uncompromisable standards of human conduct. Mankind has traditionally derived such standards from religion, and the West has derived them from and through the Jews. Those absolute and uncompromisable standards of human conduct will not endure without an effort to make them endure. And it is to that enterprise that we rededicate ourselves today. Those standards are in the Decalogue, and they are in the question put and answered by Micah. What doth the Lord require of thee but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with thy God? And for those 6 billion Jews to whom it was not done justly, who were shown no mercy, and for whom God and his laws were abandoned, may we remember their sufferings, and may they rest in peace.
What a remarkable human being Scalia was. I don't think anybody could say it the way he said it. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, this program is a bulwark against the spreading evil that's taking place in our country with the Marxists and the Islamists, and yes, the neo-fascists. Some of you may ask, some of our affiliates may ask, why do you spend so much time on this? Why do you take on these Islamists and these Marxists and these neo-fascists? Why do you talk about Carlson and Mamdani and the others so much? Because I fear the day may come when we are silenced, when we won't be able to do it. And I played you 9 to 10 minutes of Antonin Scalia, the late great man, because I couldn't put it any better. Germany was the most advanced society on the face of the earth, virtually in every respect, the sciences and the arts. And look what it became. And as he's mentioned and alluded to, it spreads beyond the Jews. Tens of millions of people died during World War II. But half the Jewish population on the entire face of the earth was exterminated. And you listen to these voices today, whether they're podcasters, whether they're politicians, whether they're imams or the organization CAIR, you should be very, very worried about this. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
We only have about a minute. When we come back after the bottom of the hour, I want to play some audio for you of a man named Nihad Awad. This is an extraordinarily dangerous man. This is a man who was present in the 1990s in that hotel next to the Philadelphia International Airport, where these Hamas supporters hatched the plan to create an organization like CAIR in order to spread Islam throughout our country. These are radical Islamists, and these are very dangerous people. I want to congratulate the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, for tagging them as a terror organization. And this is an organization that should not have a tax status of any kind in this country. This is an organization that should be shut down. Its national headquarters in Washington, as well as its branches throughout the country. I want you to hear what he says. He remains the executive director of CAIR, which celebrated October 7th, and yet has had an enormous presence in the Democrat Party and in the media. I'll be right back.
If the world seems so confusing, Mike will be glad to clear that up for you. Call him now at 877-381-3811.
This is Nihad Awad, the executive director of CAIR, the founding father of CAIR, a Hamas supporter. And in fact, CAIR is a Hamas front group. So in other words, it's a front group for terrorism and the Muslim Brotherhood. It's that simple. And it operates throughout our country, throughout our culture, throughout our colleges and universities, even K through 12. Cut 7, go. This is, before I go, a little over a year ago. Cut 7, go, please.
I have been given this strategic plan, framework for success for the Muslim community. And let's just think about it together in the next couple of minutes. We have almost 4,000 mosques in America. 4,000 mosques. 4,000 mosques. About 6 million people attend these 4,000 mosques every Friday. That's really the infrastructure of the Muslim community. The core of Muslim life in America is the largest number of mosques. Secondly, you have schools, social services, organizations, economic, social, political, and scientific organizations and businesses. However, how can we plan in 20 years for the Muslim community to be a celebrated community? So what's the plan? 4,000 mosques. I would like our community, the leadership here, after inshallah you build this mosque, unless you can do it at the same time, establish a scholarship fund on an annual basis, and just bear with me. Establish a scholarship on an annual basis to do the following: to offer scholarships for 5 students. 1, to study journalism. 2nd, to study filmmaking. 3rdly, to study law. 4th, political science. and fifth, history or humanity. Why? If we start in 2025 or 2026, depends on you, 40 years from now, 4,000 mosques in America, remember, 4,000 mosques. We will have, in 4 years, 4,000 new journalists, filmmakers, lawyers, history students who will become teachers, and students and graduates of political science. 20 years from now, we keep doing it every year. 20 years from now, the Muslim community will have 50,000 attorneys, 50,000 journalists, 50,000 filmmakers, 50,000 professors of political science and history. If we do that, the Muslim community will write its own history. It will write its own narrative. It will tell the story of Islam and Muslims. It will make its own image. The Muslim community will have an impact in the news making and the impact in the news analysis. The Muslim community will be able to defend itself and defend others. The Muslim community will be able to produce policymakers and policy and lawmakers. If you are a lawyer, most likely you are qualified to be a lawmaker. The Muslim community today have 4 members of Congress and 47 state house or state senate legislators. MashaAllah. However, if we do this program, within 20 years from now, the Muslim community will have at least 50 members of Congress and may have at least 5 senators, and will have potentially a Supreme Court judge. And the Muslim community will not worry as it does now about Islamophobia. It takes leadership, and you don't have to solve the problem of the entire ummah. Solve the problem of 5 students from your own community, empower them, and give them a chance to be leaders. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who follow the guidance and follow the best of it. Allahumma ameen.
You get the point? This is a little over a year ago. We're going to secrete ourselves into all these Western institutions, all these institutions in America. CAIR is in America. CAIR is an America-based Islamist foreign operation. You wonder where it gets all its money from? It brings lawsuits, but notice it doesn't bring a lot of libel lawsuits, because in a libel lawsuit you can counterclaim, you can conduct discovery, and they don't want discovery. They don't believe in discovery of their information. Transparency is a problem. So what are we going to do about this? Nothing? This is why people like this, who are not citizens, I don't know if he is or not, but who are not, should be deported. We shouldn't wait until somebody commits murder, or assault, or rape, or sodomizes a 5-year-old. All those people need to go too, quickly. But to wait for somebody to commit a commonly understood crime is not good enough. This man, these individuals, this organization exists to destroy our country. Now, what kind of politicians accede to this, pretend it's not happening, or even embrace it on the Democrat side? But what are the Republicans? What should we do about this? We should worry about news organizations, the Democrat Party demanding the heads of Kristi Noem and others? Is that what we should do? These people should be deported. They should be removed from this country and sent back from where they came, whether they've committed crimes or not. The purpose of immigration isn't you get to come here illegally and you get to stay forever and have your children here forever as long as you don't commit physical offenses or steal money. No. If you're illegally, you're removed. Here's Nihad Awad, again, the executive director of CAIR, he continues, cut 8, go.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising us success. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to do the right priorities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not ask us about results. He's asking us about good work, sincere work. If you are sincere in what you do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you success. For our community here in this area, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed us to create an organization called CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations, the organization that you know. My name is Nihad Awad. I'm the National Executive Director of this organization. It is designed, and the purpose of it is to inform the public about Islam, empower the American Muslim community socially and politically, and defend the rights of American Muslims free of charge. And CAIR is not afraid to sue the US government. In fact, we did many times. The last time we sued our US beautiful government, we sued the FBI because the FBI has been surveilling American Muslims and created a watch list called the Terrorism Watch List, and has 1.2 million people on them, mainly Muslims here and around the world. And the Muslims who get harassed in airports or their bank accounts get closed and so on and so forth, they have an organization that defends them. And that list was created after 9/11. CAIR sued the FBI, and the FBI appealed 3 times, and they lost until it went all the way to the Supreme Court. And they expected that maybe since it's a conservative court, they may rule in their favor. You know what was the result? 9-0. 9-0 in favor of CAIR in defending the right of Muslims. That shows that our nation is still in good shape, but we need political and legal advocates to defend the rights of American Muslims, because if
that's not really what they're about. That's not really what they're about. The Holy Land Foundation case, 2007 to 2008, CAIR, which describes itself, you hear him, as a civil rights group, was named as an unindicted co-conspirator with the Holy Land Foundation terrorism financing case. And the evidence showed past ties to Hamas-linked network. And this was the largest terrorism financing case in American history. And CAIR was listed as a member of the Muslim Brotherhood's Palestine Committee, which was established to support Hamas. Hamas, part of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood is the center of the wheel. Al-Qaeda, ISIS, Islamic Jihad, Hamas were all birthed by the Muslim Brotherhood, all financed by Qatar, among others. 2023, October 7th, this same man, Nihad Awad, said he was happy to see the Palestinian breach the Gaza border and murder all those people. They deny any connection to Hamas or foreign terrorist groups. And any suggestion, they say, is Islamophobic. They're there to protect the American Muslims and their civil liberties. That's what they say. But last year, Texas and Florida, along with the United Arab Emirates, a tiny Arab country in the Middle East that is really our closest Arab ally, which now Saudi Arabia is trying to destroy and push a coup against its monarchy. Texas, Florida, and the UAE have designated CAIR a foreign terrorist organization and a front group for Hamas. And this man walks around freely. He's got directors in every state. They and others are involved in strategically locating new mosques. They see the United States as an entire an entire entity that needs to be taken down, and yet you see local, county, and town zoning boards dealing with these increasing number of requests for mosques and Muslim community centers, all of them strategically located, more and more of them. We're under attack. Our system's being used against us. The Democrat Party operationally is against us, we the people. This whole battle over immigration is a battle over saving this nation. ICE is a blue line that exists to try and save this nation. And it is under relentless attack. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
So much time is wasted on radio and TV and podcasting and all the rest of it with minutia. Or by spending days on end talking about what is the Democrat Party agenda or the left's agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm talking about right now affects your livelihoods, it affects your communities, it affects what kind of a country you're going to live in. This is no small matter. I ask you, please pay attention to this. Please spread the word. Please make demands of your politicians, local, state, and federal. You're it. You're it. You're the army of patriots, of Americans from all walks of life and all faiths who want to preserve this nation against an enemy within, and the enemy is within now. One more for today, but I'm going to keep at this because we have to be the siren, the bulwark, who is relentless and resolute about this, or the country's gone. And we're pretty close to that. So I need you, American patriots, our great family here, you to be the Paul Reveres and the Thomas Paines. Here's a montage of Students for Justice in Palestine. Remember them? Another Hamas group. This is a Zoom meeting they had less than a year ago. Cut 9, go.
So we see this existential connection between the Palestinian students movement and the political prisoners. So the Palestinian student, the day after of Oslo, they changed their activism from the campus to the armed struggle. If Palestine is liberated, this means this is a nail to dismantle the United States of America.
We know it's a victory when a red triangle goes above an Israeli soldier's head and the pig gets iced. Like, we know that's a victory. We know it's a victory when prisoners break out. We know it's a victory when all these things happen. But a lot of people don't necessarily know that. And it's not their fault they don't know that. It's our fault.
We will free Mumia because it is our job to destroy imperialism, destroy the United States, and destroy capitalism and the system of extraction that it relies on to perpetuate itself. And we will do it by organizing in a manner that actively undermines and destabilizes the legitimacy and the power of the state and the power and legitimacy of capitalism.
And this war on ICE is undermining the legitimacy of the United States. That last speaker is Students for Justice in Palestine from Temple University in Philadelphia, my university. So this poison, this cancer is metastasized. It's everywhere. And now Qatar, our good friends Qatar. I despise Qatar. I don't care who likes Qatar. I despise Qatar. They are now bringing this poison into our elementary schools, our middle schools, and our high schools. through these rotten, good-for-nothing Marxist teachers' unions. That's exactly what's taking place right now in your community. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811, 877-381-3811. I hope you're well. That's very strange, Mr. Producer. All the links to my articles fell out. Can you send that again? All during the night, and not by night, I mean when this program's over. Usually starting around 10 p.m. into 2 p.m., sometimes 4, 5 p.m., 8, 9 p.m., all through the rest of the day. I send links to Mr. Producer. And hopefully he's not awake every minute of the night. I don't think he is. But you're not, are you there at 2, 3, 4 in the morning? I don't want your wife to be angry with me. Anyway, so he puts them all together on a sheet for me every day before the program, about an hour before the program, and I go over them, and I sift through them to see if they trigger some kind of thought process, or I want to go into a different area or deeply into a different field, or if I want to talk about them. And so some of you have been interested in how I do that. That's how I do it. And I spend a tremendous amount of time preparing for this program, just as I spend a tremendous amount of time preparing my monologues for Fox. Nobody else writes my stuff. I can't read other people's stuff, and I don't want them to put words in my mouth. There's plenty to talk about and think about, or you shouldn't be in this business. So that's what I said. They dropped out. In other words, my list dropped out. Now, the president has, according to the New York Times here, and I want to bring you up to speed on this as well. Let's see. New York Times. I know we have this somewhere. I'm working on it. Let's see here. He's threatened Iran with another massive armada that's on the way. And he's pressed a set of demands. And among those demands is to give up your nuclear pursuits, to limit the number of ballistic missiles they have, and one other one. But it doesn't involve the people of Iran, so I thought it wasn't comprehensive enough, as far as I'm concerned, because that's the big issue right now. And this regime needs to be toppled. Khomeini needs to be destroyed. I just feel like negotiating with Khomeini is like negotiating with a Hitler figure. Now, when I use Hitler, I mean it in the true historical sense. Not that all these politicians are Hitler. I'm talking about Khomeini, who's been slaughtering people left and right, and who wants to conquer the world. That's why he wants nuclear weapons. It's also why he's an Islamist. And that's why Islamists like Khomeini, like the Third Reich, like Nazism, and like Hitler. Have you noticed the overlay? Well, there's a reason for it. It's why the Mufti, who led the so-called Palestinians, now they weren't called Palestinians then, not until 1965, but nonetheless, those individuals sought to meet Hitler, got to meet Hitler, worked with Himmler, among others, and offered to kill as many Jews as possible in the Middle East and offered up 5,000 men to fight alongside the Nazis. Now, of course, Hitler believed in the Aryan race, and he didn't think very much of the Arabs at all. So they never did much with them because he hated them too. But that said, he embraced the Mufti's ideas, of course, and his viewpoints. And so my view is, you're not going to get a peace in our time with Iran. You're not going to be able to appease Iran any more than Neville Chamberlain was able to get peace in his time, which is what he said he had, appeasing Hitler. Some people and regimes are so evil and clearly have no intention of helping humanity, that is peace, that they have to be destroyed or they're going to destroy us. Let me put it to you this way. The ultimate confrontation between the regime in Iran and our country is going to come. Not because of us, because of him and his sons. It's going to come. So shouldn't he come on our terms rather than us playing defense? Taking out the nuclear sites, that was very, very important. But we haven't taken out him and that regime. And we have 90 million people or some who agree with us, who live under his police state's iron fist. This isn't neoconservatism. This isn't warmongering. This isn't any of that stuff. This is peace-mongering. And I don't think diplomacy-mongering and negotiating-mongering is the answer to any of this. Now, one of the things in the latest report from the New York Times is that the Islamo-Nazi supreme stupid man, Khomeini, has rejected the demands of the United States. And so I think this is the pattern we've seen before with President Trump, that he will view this as leaving no other option but to address this. How we address it, I don't know. I hope we address it in a way that's intended to obliterate Khomeini and everybody around him. Otherwise, it doesn't go away. It doesn't stop. They'll be back with a 10,000-mile intercontinental ballistic missile, with a nuclear weapon, 10 nuclear weapons, maybe 100 nuclear weapons, which we now think North Korea has. And I said to you last night, and I'll say to you again, does anybody believe a man who would kill, if he had to, 1 million of his own people wouldn't kill 1 million Americans with a nuclear missile? In fact, for him, his Islamist ideology requires him to destroy everyone and everything that is an obstacle to their barbarian 7th century mentality. That is the only way Allah can be fulfilled, is the elimination of everyone else. Either their enslavement or their elimination. That's the ideology. I didn't make it up. That's what they say. I didn't make it up. And so they even slaughter Muslims who don't agree with them, or they slaughter their own citizens, like you see happening in Iran. And you also see happening now in Afghanistan. The Taliban made up about 14% of the population. The Islamist regime in Iran is a small percentages. It's a minority of the population in Iran. The Persian people are Western people. They are educated people. They are advanced people. They haven't been brought up to hate America and hate Jews. They're not brought up like the Palestinians have been brought up, so-called. So we shall see what happens. But we've gone from, keep protesting, we're going to come help you, to we're negotiating on these 3 points. Now we've gone to, they've rejected these 3 points, and I feel we're getting to the point where the president will be comfortable using the military against this regime. That's where I feel we are. That's where I feel we are. But negotiations with them isn't going to get anywhere, even if we have a quote-unquote peace in our time. Individuals who are terrorists, who will slaughter tens of thousands of their own people, why does anybody think that they would sign a piece of paper and honor it? Particularly when the belief system among the Islamists says you can do anything and say anything to the Westerners, even if it's not true. You will not be violating Islam if your purpose is to destroy them. Tafia. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know what Pure Talk's favorite holiday is? President's Day. Because they believe wireless service should only cost you a couple of presidents. Just a Jackson and a Lincoln, to be exact. For $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Now compare that to Big Wireless. They'd rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day so they can charge your family hundreds every month, and he wasn't even a president. That's not right. You deserve better. Pure Talk is an American wireless company that supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. When you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, plenty of data, no contract, no cancellation fee. Don't wait any longer, folks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch to Pure Talk. Here's the president today in Iowa. The president is campaigning to try and save the Republicans in the midterm elections because he knows what a disaster for the nation if the Democrats take one or both houses of Congress. His agenda will be blocked. They will pursue him as they always do. They will undermine federal law enforcement. They will undermine our military. It's going to be hell, even if they take one house. So as we get through the summer, not through it completely, but probably midsummer, we're going to be focused on this as well, because we just cannot voluntarily surrender this country to a political party that hates America. We just cannot. And here the president is in Iowa yesterday. Cut one, go.
And by the way, there's another beautiful armada floating beautifully toward Iran right now. So we'll see. I hope they make a deal. I hope they make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time they'd have a country.
Yeah. Well, the issue here is not just the deal. The issue here is the people in Iran. They don't want that regime. They want to live in freedom. And they're being massacred. So I'm not sure how this works in conjunction with that. But here's the latest. The three things that the president apparently wants, that's not the right one, is right here. Give me a second. U.S. and European officials, according to the New York Times, say that in talks, they put three demands in front of the Iranians. I didn't even know we were talking. I thought we had stopped that. A permanent end to all enrichment of uranium, limits on the range and number of their ballistic missiles, and an end to all support for proxy groups in the Middle East, including Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis operating in Yemen. Well, the genius of this could be he's made a demand or demands that they are never going to agree to. But we got to follow up and whack this guy. And it says here, notably absent from those demands and from Mr. Trump's post on Truth Social on Wednesday morning, and I noticed this too, was any reference to protecting the protesters who took to the streets, convulsing the country, creating the latest crisis for its government. Mr. Trump promised in past social media posts to come to their aid, but they've been barely mentioned in recent weeks. Well, they're going to always be mentioned by me. Always. And the truth is, the only way to protect these people and the only way to free these people is to take out Khomeini. That's the truth. And I assume the only reason we've been sending our flotillas to that part of the world and everything that comes with them and are confronting them is because the people rose up and because the people have been slaughtered. That's why we've done this, I believe. So there needs to be a connection between what we're doing, and these other things are obviously important, but the people of Iran, that's the issue. That's the issue. That's what's brought us to this point. Just as the Israeli military weakened Iran so we could drop those bombs on their nuclear sites, they had no radar left, they had no ground-to-air missiles, they had nothing left. The Iranian people have further weakened the regime. This regime will never be weaker than it is right this minute. With its air defenses still destroyed, with its economy completely in the toilet, with the Israelis taking out many of their generals and so forth, it's certainly not over. It's not done. But they have never been weaker. And the people there, they continue to rise up, but this is the greatest uprising of the Iranian people against this regime since the regime took control at the point of a gun in 1979. So if not now, when? When? The Chinese are pouring as much into them as they can, or they're going to continue to do it. So they're going to have ground-to-air missile systems. They're going to have more long-range ballistic missiles. And they're going to keep building towards nuclear warheads unless they're stopped again and again and again. And when President Trump's no longer president, we'll probably get somebody like a Biden. I don't mean in terms of cognition. I mean in terms of ideology. The people he had around him, after all, were Obama people. And those people never go away. They're like a bad rash. And so the position of the Democrats will be, let them get nukes. I mean, what the hell? That was the Obama deal. They would have nuclear weapons. Listen to me. They would have nuclear missiles today if Trump hadn't ripped up the Obama deal. They would have nuclear warheads and missiles today if Trump hadn't hit those nuclear sites. But Trump won't always be president. And every president before him refused to hit those nuclear sites. And I suspect every or almost every president after him will still refuse to do it. Then what are we going to do? What are we going to do? If they have 10,000 ballistic missiles that can go 10,000 miles. If they have 5, 10, 20 nuclear missiles, what are we going to do then? The people rise up, they slaughter them. It's now or never. I'll be right back. You know what Pure Talk's favorite holiday is? President's Day. Because they believe wireless service should only cost you a couple of presidents. just a Jackson and a Lincoln to be exact. For $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Now compare that to Big Wireless. They'd rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day so they can charge your family hundreds every month, and he wasn't even a president. That's not right. You deserve better. Pure Talk is an American wireless company that supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. When you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, plenty of data, no contract, no cancellation fee. Don't wait any longer, folks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch to Pure Talk.
The voice of reason in a sea of lunacy. Mark Levin. Dial in now. 877-381-3811.
Well, apparently, we have a much better understanding of Alex Preti, Mr. Producer. I'm going to post online, and I will link to Laura Loomer Unleashed, a video that apparently the BBC has validated of an organization that has taken a video, and you can see him in a prior confrontation with ICE. He's very violent. He's spitting on federal officials. He's kicking their vehicle as it drives away. And we're going to post this, Mr. Producer, without comment right now on all my social media sites. If you want to take a look at this, I just saw this. And as one person put it, trust your eyes. The entire narrative that has been created here, the entire narrative is a false one. The entire narrative. That's why it's very, very important. If something doesn't seem right, if your gut tells you, based on your own knowledge and experience, ICE guys aren't just going to start shooting away and killing somebody, then they probably aren't just shooting away and killing somebody. But they knew who he was. He was quite violent, as you will see in this video, in a prior confrontation. Now, what you will also see is that all these aggregation sites will censor the video, will question it, will then give editorial comment on why it doesn't matter. Having built him up as an ICU nurse, and therefore just the quintessential wonderful citizen. Now, I'm not saying he should have been shot or shouldn't have been shot. We'll leave that to the investigators. What I'm saying is the entire narrative has been a lie. And we knew it. Because that's the way the media work. See that video, Mr. Producer? A couple weeks ago. He was very aggressive, wasn't he? Very aggressive. Say again? Yeah, extremely. So I encourage you people, you just go to any of my social sites, and you will see it. And what it teaches you also, what it teaches me, informs us yet again and underscores, is the media are filled with ideological activists, liars, pathetic. And these aggregation sites are even worse. They've been pounding the propaganda day after day after day. And now we're supposed to impeach Kristi Noem, who, by the way, wasn't even there, but we should impeach her. We should have an impeachment trial. We should spend the next 6 months going after Kristi Noem in order to serve the purposes of the Democrat and the Marxists and the other groups that are behind this entire revolution. Not here, not now, not behind this microphone. No way. No way. Yeah, I've been around too long. I know how these things work, and so do you. Marco Rubio, quite a hearing today over Foreign Relations Committee, but you know what? He's a guy who can certainly handle himself. He did an outstanding job. And here he is at the hearing talking about not just Venezuela, but Cuba The questioner is Senator Schatz, who's another left-wing kook from Hawaii. Cut 3, go.
Is your comments that Havana should be concerned about the Maduro operation is fueling speculation that this administration will turn its sights to Cuba next. Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba?
Regime change?
Yes.
Oh, no, I think we would love to see the regime there change. We would like to, that doesn't mean that we're going to make a change, but we would love to see it change. There's no doubt about the fact that it would be of great benefit to the United States if Cuba was no longer governed by an autocratic regime.
But you know what we mean by regime change. We don't mean, I wish someone else were in charge. When we talk about regime change, we're talking about using the power of the United States, usually kinetic power, but often other kinds of coercion. And I'm not even saying that that's always not in our interest. I'm just saying, I'm not asking you whether we would prefer a different kind of government. I'm asking whether you are trying to precipitate the fall of the current regime.
Yeah, but that's statutory. The Helms-Burton Act, the U.S. embargo on Cuba is codified. It was codified in law, and it requires regime change in order for us to lift the embargo.
Why is it that the Democrats always come to the defense of the communists? Why is that? I mean, Obama even opens an embassy there, kisses their ass, he goes over there. What is with these people? I remember when Reagan was dealing with Nicaragua. There they are, defending Nicaragua. It's incredible. Let's go to cut 5 regarding the Alien Enemies Act. Tammy Duckworth is really a buffoon. She's a military war veteran. She lost both of her legs. And for that, we're extremely appreciative. But as a politician and a senator, she is horrendous. Let's go. Cut 5, please. Go.
Mr. Secretary, last March, the president invoked the Alien Enemies Act, a notorious wartime law last used for Japanese internment.
Okay, wait. I don't get this. Who passes laws? Raise your hand. Congress. Who can remove laws? Raise your hand. Congress. So it's a notorious law, the Alien Enemies Act. Now, it's not a notorious law. It was used in a notorious way by one Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who's the great hero of the Democrats. They think he's the greatest president ever because he was a socialist. Okay. But if it's a notorious act, blame him for how he used the act. But the act itself is not notorious. Go ahead.
Into the Maduro regime's supposed invasion or other acts of war against the United States. But in recent weeks, you, the Department of Justice, and our friends across the aisle have repeatedly said that we are not at war with Venezuela. Secretary Rubio, if that is true and we are not at war with Venezuela, will you advise the president to rescind his invocation of the Wartime Alien Enemies Act?
Well, that was a mechanism to remove people from our country that prevent grave danger. So, for example, we know for a fact that Trinidad Agua is a very dangerous gang. In fact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I may have been the first member of Congress.
This is a wartime act, Mr. Secretary.
Well,
are we currently at war with Venezuela?
No, we're not in a state of war in Venezuela.
Okay, the Supreme Court has described the Alien Enemies Act as a wartime power, our Supreme Court. And before now, the Alien Enemies Act was only invoked during the War of 1812, World War I, World War II, when it was used to intern thousands of innocent civilians. Are you really arguing that the president should be able to wield an internment law?
No, but we're talking about two separate things here. So you're talking about the state of Venezuela or are describing the regime.
And
we're talking about, but what the president designated.
Invoked the Alien Enemies Act.
I know, Senator, but let me be clear with you. No, but what the president was talking about are these gangs that have, and these narco trafficking groups that are waging war on the United States. There's no doubt. These groups have waged war on the United States. They have waged, for example, Trinidad Agua is not just a criminal gang presence in our street. It is a criminal gang directly responsible for narco trafficking.
The Trump administration has acknowledged that the vast majority of the men it rounded up and deported to torture under this law had no criminal records whatsoever.
We didn't torture anybody.
Over 75%.
Who did we torture? We haven't tortured anybody. We've arrested people that are members of gangs and we've deported them. We don't want gang members in our country.
Independent investigations have found that many of the men were here legally. If the administration is willing to lie about who it's targeting under this law, what protections do totally innocent people have against abuse? Again, I want to ask you, Will you advise the president to rescind his invocation of the wartime Alien Enemies
No, of course
Act?
not. I mean, these are people that are threats to the national security of the United States. But I've described this in hearings in the past, including
So you're saying that we're at war?
We are absolutely. When it comes to narco trafficking groups and criminal gangs that are targeting the United States for criminal
We're in a state of war.
There's no doubt about the fact that we're confronting them in a war like that
because
they're waging war
apply and do the Geneva Convention
They're waging war against us and their enemy combatants
the Geneva. Oh my Lord! She throws around these terms like she knows what she's talking about because some staffer wrote it for her. Does the Geneva Convention apply? These are narco terrorists. That's what they are. That's what they do. They're using the Alien Enemies Act, which is a wartime act, but I would argue it doesn't mean there has to be a state of war declared by Congress. We've gone over this issue many, many times. There have been wars that haven't been declared because the declaration of war is not the same as making war. Vietnam, North Korea, and so forth. So according to her, it would be wrong to use the Alien Enemies Act during the Vietnam War, during the Korean War, or during virtually every other war we've been in, except for a handful of wars. Now that is absurd. And you're not removing American citizens under the Alien Enemies Act. There's a level of proof you have to demonstrate. We're talking about Venezuela trained militia, narco, gang member terrorists that were helping fund the Maduro regime and working with foreign governments. We are never going to survive with senators like this. As our enemy secretes itself into our society, as foreign governments secrete themselves into our society through surrogates and so forth, what would this senator have us do? What would she have us do? She views the enemy as the Secretary of State and the President of the United States. They're trying to protect us. Unlike Biden, unlike Obama, they're trying to protect us from what's taking place, from what's been unleashed on our country with open borders. But I'm glad she likes the Supreme Court. I hope she'll stop attacking Clarence Thomas. I hope she'll stop attacking Sam Alito. Did she ever stop attacking Kavanaugh? Gorsuch? No. As our Supreme Court said, they love our Supreme Court except when they hate it. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
You know what Pure Talk's favorite holiday is? President's Day. Because they believe wireless service should only cost you a couple of presidents. Just a Jackson and a Lincoln to be exact. For $25 a month, Pure Talk gives you unlimited talk, text, plenty of data. Now compare that to big wireless. They'd rather celebrate Benjamin Franklin Day so they can charge your family hundreds every month, and he wasn't even a president. That's not right. You deserve better. Pure Talk is an American wireless company that supports our veterans and invests in a U.S.-only customer service team. When you call, you're talking to someone right here at home. Pure Talk uses the same towers as the big carriers, so enjoy superior 5G coverage without the inflated price. Just $25 a month for talk, text, plenty of data, no contract, no cancellation fee. Don't wait any longer, folks. Go to puretalk.com/Levin, puretalk.com/Levin. You'll get 50% off your first month. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin to make the switch to Pure Talk. As of today, the price for 1 ounce of silver is $113 to $114. It's gone up 3 or 4 times its value in the last year. The price of gold. Stick with me. Let's take a look at that. Price of gold. Stay with me. What's that? Price of gold, the 1 ounce is, stick with me. You know what it is today, Mr. Producer? $5,200. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Mark Levin here. Our number is 877-381-3811. We'll take calls at the bottom of the hour. 877-381-3811. What is bloated Bannon? Chatsworth Carlson. Me, Megyn Kelly. Who else is out there? I can't remember all of them. Doesn't matter. What are they going to say now? What do you mean, Mark? This is Politico. This came out, I guess, this afternoon. Hold on, let me look here. Hold on here. Yeah. President Donald Trump's MAGA base, known for its aversion to U.S. involvement in foreign wars, has embraced the administration's aggressive use of military force abroad and would strongly support more. Now, look. That doesn't mean we're neocons and interventionists. It means we're realists. But this completely destroys the lunatic fringe isolationist neo-fascists. And people on TV who claim to represent you say, we're tired of forever wars. First of all, we're not talking about forever wars. Secondly, we're not talking about getting involved in all wars. We're talking about protecting ourselves. It's called national security. But nobody wants war. It's like the nut job in Tehran. We don't want it. It goes on. A new Politico poll reveals 65% of Trump voters support the U.S. taking military action against at least one of several potential target countries, including Iran, Greenland, Cuba, Colombia, China, and Mexico. And one stands out, Iran. Hold on 1 second here. I've got to pass this along to a friend. I'm doing it right now. One stands out. Iran. About 50% of Trump voters backed military intervention in the country, the most of any foreign target. That number rose to 61% of respondents who described themselves as MAGA Republican Trump supporters. The poll data offers a clear view of a political movement that's adapting its America First views to account for Trump's expansive use of American military might, from orchestrating the capture of Venezuela's leader to bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. Trump's latest threats against Tehran only underscore the shift in the GOP. The president said Wednesday on Truth Social that, quote, a massive armada, unquote, was heading toward Iran to, quote, rapidly fulfill its mission with speed and violence, unquote, if Tehran doesn't agree to nuclear negotiations. A new attack would be, quote, far worse, the president said, than the summer strikes on nuclear facilities, he warned. While Trump campaigned against endless wars, see how Trump is not talking about endless wars. He's not talking about forever wars. He's talking about doing what we have to do in our hemisphere and doing what we have to do with Iran. Iran has been a cancer on that, not just on America, but on the world since forever. His shift toward interventionism hasn't rankled his supporters. In fact, he's drawing solid support from the MAGA base. Quote, if you believe the Trump theory that our goal is to do everything we can to protect Americans, and that includes taking out bad people in certain places, then that's America first, said Amy Walter, editor-in-chief of the nonpartisan Cook Political Report. But she noted Trump loyalists appear to be making a distinction between military action against other countries and long-term nation-building efforts similar to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. That is the distinction I have been making. And indeed, I don't understand why we're doing a democracy project in Gaza and Hamas is still armed. So we're MAGA here behind this microphone. We're Tea Party here behind this microphone. We're Trump Revolution. We're Reagan Revolution. We're constitutional conservatives behind this microphone. Quote, if he said tomorrow that we're going to send troops into the Middle East, we're going to put boots on the ground in Venezuela, that is one thing that would break the coalition apart. They said Democrats are more pessimistic about the overseas plans. Only 18% of voters who supported Kamala Harris in the last presidential election supported U.S. military action against Iran, according to the poll conducted by Public First. No, that's right. The Democrats funded Iran. Their hero, Joe Biden, funded Iran. Tens of billions of dollars, refusing to enforce sanctions on the oil. Plus, what did Obama give them? $2, $3, $4 billion in cash? Yeah. But not all Trump potential targets are appealing to Republican voters. Support for using force against Greenland. He's not using force against Greenland, so that's a phony question. Phony question. Only 21% of Trump supporters would have supported that. Well, they don't have to worry about it. Nearly a third of Republicans support military action even closer to home, as Trump has sought to project dominance in the Western Hemisphere. 32% of Trump voters supported military intervention in Mexico, 30% in Colombia, 28% with Cuba, but 61% with Iran. I stand with you folks. I stand with you folks. Much smaller percentage of Harris vote. Who cares? She's not president. God forbid if she ever is. Now, the poll suggests beyond his loyal base, Americans remain divided over Trump's focus on foreign affairs during his first year back in office. Some worry his emphasis on Western Hemisphere intervention comes at the expense of pressing domestic issues. Well, that's ridiculous because they are linked. They're indivisible. They're indivisible. You know, somebody shoots a nuclear weapon into our country. I think that becomes a domestic matter, doesn't it, Mr. Producer? Yeah, I kind of think so. Yes, indeed. Let's see. All right. We'll take an early break. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Make America Great Again. Really the heart and soul of the Republican Party. I believe it's significantly the Tea Party. Trump supporters, Reagan supporters, conservative supporters. 61% of MAGA supports militarily attacking Iran. 61%. So when you hear blowhards like Bannon and his ilk tell you, MAGA doesn't want this, MAGA doesn't want that, they don't know anything. They're just trying to impose or project their own views, which are suicidal for a nation. You got Carlson's over in Saudi Arabia. They're probably paying him a boatload. He was over in Qatar. They probably paid him a boatload. He's probably going to stop off in Gaza and give his speech to Hamas, I'm guessing. When he's done, he may head over to Ramallah and give a speech to the Palestinian Authority. You never know, Mr. Producer. Maybe he'll make another trek And he'll go over to Iran and talk to his friend, the president of Iran, see how things are going there. Everything's under control. Then maybe he'll take a trip over to Moscow. After all, he does like the subway system over there. Just see how well they're slaughtering the Ukrainians. Oh, yeah, he's got a whole... he could set up a tour company. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Enemies are us. Enemies are us. Your favorite tour company, if you hate America. But for me, he crossed a red line when he basically said that Iran should have nuclear weapons. It would bring peace. You know what that is? That's a traitor. Because Iran with nuclear weapons is a direct threat to you, me, Mr. and Mrs. America, the entire country. It's one thing when he goes off like a lunatic about demons, or he goes off like a lunatic trashing Churchill and building up Hitler through his guests and other things. So we know he's a freak, fraud, and a phony. Got that. But when you're actually promoting Iran having nuclear weapons, and when your program by state media in Iran is played while they're slaughtering the people of Iran, I mean, there is a line over which you just don't go. Even if you're a lunatic, even if you're trashing Jews and Christians, even if we're promoting Sharia law, there's just a line over which you don't go. You don't go, in my humble opinion. But he doesn't represent MAGA. Bloated Bannon, Third Reich Bannon, he only represents his own graft. And all the rest of them. The chameleons, the Megans come lately, whoever they are. But I just thought they should know. When people get, MAGA doesn't want this and MAGA doesn't want that. MAGA doesn't want Khomeini. That's what it says. 61%. That's a landslide. They're not neocons. They're not interventionists. They're not warmongers. I'm talking about you. You're none of those things. But you don't like seeing these people slaughtered? You don't like this 7th century throwback continually trying to get his hands on modern technology to blow us off the face of the earth? You're common sense people. You're patriots. Nobody wants this. And if not in our lifetimes, in the lifetimes of our children and our grandchildren. Nobody wants this. You're not ideologically opposed to using the military. You want people to be prudential. You want them to be smart about it, to use common sense. But I bet none of you listening to this program believes that the world would be safer if Iran had nuclear weapons. I don't believe any of you believe that. I don't believe any of you believe that Churchill was the reason effectively for World War II and Hitler's misunderstood. I don't believe any of you believe that either. You and I know that's insanity. Lunacy. I don't believe any of you think Sharia law should outweigh the Constitution of the United States. Or that these countries, these genocidal monarchical dictatorships, are better than our country. I don't believe any of you think that. I don't believe any of you think that Putin's a good Christian. He's a good guy. Just because he's launched a war that results in a million deaths of Russians and almost a million deaths of Ukrainians. He's an assassin. Mr. and Mrs. America don't think Putin's a good guy. They don't think Russia's a great country. Well, that's what these neo-fascist isolationist morons keep telling us. I'll bet you in the audience, Mr. and Mrs. America, you don't think Qatar, which funds the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas and Islamic Jihad, the Taliban, which is an alliance with Iran. I'll bet you don't think Qatar should be pouring money into our public schools, do you? Well, it is. I'll bet you don't believe Qatar should be pouring money into our colleges and universities to promote Islamism and the overthrow of America. I don't think you support that, do you? No, you don't. You're red-blooded Americans. You know better. We're all that's left, you and me. It's you and me. That's what we've got. You and me, us, we, who stand up for this country, who stand up for our history, our founders, the Declaration, the Constitution. It's you and me who stand up for free market capitalism, for American sovereignty, for American citizenry. You and me. We, the people. That's what we believe. It's that simple. I want you to take a good look, if you have time, to go on the internet, to go onto my social sites and look at this guy, Preti. I shared the video with my buddy Sean Hannity. I think he's going to be able to play it tonight as well on Fox. And I want you to look at that video, and then I want you to tell me, or to at least to think to yourselves, that person that you see on that video, is that the person that the media have described to you? Is that the person that the media have wanted you to believe in? No, I am sorry he was killed. No, I don't like it. I don't like the whole situation. But I step back and I look at who's caused all of this and who's behind all of this. They caused it from the get-go with the open borders and the heinous, vile, violent attacks on American citizens, on a mother of 5 who was raped and murdered, on the daughter, 12 years old, who was raped and murdered by 2 illegal aliens. We can go down the list. There's page after page after page after page. You don't remember Mediaite and the Drudge Report and CNN and MS Later and all the rest of them. You don't remember them spending that much time on this, concerned about this, do you? A handful of news organizations have reported who's behind these efforts. The Marxists and the others. But you look at that video and you tell me that's a man of peace. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin, tough as hell.
That's why I like Mark Levin. And I'm not sure a lot of people like him. He's tough as hell. But I like him. I love him.
Call in now. 877-381-3811.
He's a good man. Really good man. Heart and soul. Is the President Donald Trump. Let me get back into the computer. All right. We're going to see if do we have any calls? Let's see. We do. I got to get back in. All right. We want to go back to the gentleman from yesterday who I could not continue with because the clock was running. That would be Sid. Sid, Dallas, Texas, on the Mark Levin app. Sid, how are you?
Yes, fine. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I'm glad that I'm talking to you to express my thanks to you that you are standing behind the Iranian people and you are standing on the right side of history. My friend, in the future, people will look back at this very important time and they will learn who was standing on what side of history. We are glad, we Iranian people, I'm Iranian American, we are glad that we have you on our side. And we are thankful of Senator Lindsey Graham that he is on our side too. I call to express my thanks to you and tell you how popular you are in the political arena of Iran right now. After that fiery speech that you had on Sean Hannity show, and you are in the hearts and minds of lots of Iranian people right now, and the people of Iran will recognize your role in the future more, my friend.
Well, first of all, it's a tremendous honor, but I'm doing this because it's the right thing. And these people are getting mowed down. Your people. Really our people. They're our people. They're all our people. The Persian people deserve better than this. They are not a 7th century throwback barbaric people. A sophisticated people, an educated people, an advanced people, just like we Americans. And they had this revolution, 1979, that took over their country. And it has been horrendous every day since. But this mass murdering is just beyond comprehension. And all these young people who are being slaughtered, and they're still being slaughtered. And I will do whatever I can on all the platforms I have, even behind the scenes. I'm doing the best I can to make it clear that Khomeini has to be taken out. If he's not taken out, not only will the people in Iran continue to be slaughtered, because he'll be more motivated than ever before, but he'll be more aggressive in his hostilities toward the United States and that region. And if he's willing to kill tens of thousands of his own people, and he's more than happy to do it, he'll kill 1 million of them if he has to. He's going to be more than happy to send nuclear weapons with the names of our cities on them to blow off our East Coast and then the rest of it. People need to understand what we're dealing with here. There is evil. And this man is evil. His family is evil. The regime is evil. And they're weaker now than they've ever been. And so that's when you strike, not when they're stronger. Sid, God bless you. Make sure people know that it's not just me. I speak for millions and millions of Americans who want our administration to put an end to this guy. And God bless you, my friend. God bless you. I can't thank you enough. Look, folks, when we see genocide and there's something we can do about it, I said before, look at the Uyghurs, how they're being slaughtered. But it's communist China. We don't have the ability to do anything about that. But this is different. We do. We do. And I'll be perfectly honest with you. Carter ushered in Khomeini, the predecessor to Khomeini. And we did that. Carter did that. I'm just pointing it out. Let's go to Blake, Tyler, Texas, the great KTBB. How are you, Blake?
I'm doing fine, Mark. I hope you too. I thank you for taking my call. And I'll tell you, Sid is an honorable man, and all the Iranians I've ever met since the 70s, from when I was in school or at the community college or whatnot, they all been productive and very honorable people.
I agree. And very patriotic. Very patriotic.
Yes, sir, they are. And I think it's just a crying shame that these men that are they're madmen in Tehran are taking heavy, light machine guns to their own people. And if we wait too long, all the good people are going to be slaughtered. And who are we going to save then? And if we wait too long...
Blake, you have a lot of common sense. Every day that goes by, more of those people are being slaughtered. And in horrendous, barbaric ways, medieval ways. This is a medieval evil that we're dealing with, and it's brutal. And I would just say, put yourself in their position and see what's going on here. Now, we've got an armada there. We've got another armada. We've got enormous power. The Israelis have enormous power. I think they're prepared. And if Qatar and Turkey and Saudi Arabia don't like it, more reason to act. Those genocidal regimes can get the hell out of the way. Two of them were responsible for 9/11. That's right! Saudi Arabia and Qatar. We were struck by them. Why do we give an S what they think? I sure as hell don't. Let me put it that way. Go ahead, Blake. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm right with you, Mark. I'm there 100% with you. And I don't want to see Iran be able to arm up because Russians suddenly get strong. I want to see the mullahs destroyed. I want to see them dead.
You're right, because, you know, they give oil to China. They're a lifeline to China. They give all these drones to Russia to kill these poor Ukrainians. There's a lot of reasons to take this bastard out. And I think God has put us in a position to do something about this. We're not talking about ground troops here. We're talking about Iran that's weaker than it's ever been. The only strength it has is slaughtering its own people. Even then, they got to bring Arabs in from Iraq and from Lebanon to kill their own people. One person said they're speaking Arabic. They're not speaking Farsi. Unbelievable. Blake, God bless you, brother. It's glad to know you're out there. Let's go to Dave. Let's go to Sheridan, Wyoming. The great KROE. How are you?
Good, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm fired up, baby. I'm doing good.
First time I'm able to talk to you. It's really a blessing.
Thank you.
First, I want to thank you for the Star Spangled Banner that you play in front of the show. And,
my definite honor.
Ray Charles, American.
What kind of dog you got there, by the way? I'm a dog guy, just curious.
Well, you know, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and we always used to play that stuff before the network started. And the only one that plays that is on weekends. The Star Spangled Banner on weekends is Fox News. Mm-hmm. And we've lost something in our society.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I agree.
Many people,
and you got a guy when you got a guy with a few million followers who's talking up Sharia law and trashing Christians and Jews and Judeo-Christian belief system. We've lost something, don't you think?
I do, and the other reason I was going to mention is I went to Catholic school in the 60s and 70s, and we were always told to respect and admire the Jewish people because, you know, being a Catholic, I mean, they're our forefathers, and
it's funny you say that. And we were always raised to thank the Christians for helping to create a nation that opens its arms to Jews. Because honestly, most countries don't. There's a real brotherhood and sisterhood among Jews and Christians. There really is. And our enemies who seek to destroy us are the same enemies that we both have. When they talk about what they wanting to destroy Western civilization, that means the Judeo-Christian belief system, the Enlightenment. That's what that means. That's what that means. And anyway, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
And I'm sorry, too. I get encouragement from your words. I leave right when you start here, and I travel about 30 miles to home, and I get to listen to you. And then when I get home, I turn the radio on and get to listen to you some more and stuff. And you're enlightened me because otherwise you wouldn't see it on air. And I also watch you on Fox on Saturdays and Sundays. And you enlighten me so much because otherwise I wouldn't know.
Well, you're very, very kind. I got to take more calls. I got these beautiful callers, all three of you right in a row, and I can't thank you enough. And you take care of yourself, my friend, and God bless you. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
What I do every day, whether I'm writing a book, preparing for TV, working on what's going to be a wonderful podcast, video podcast, so you can see me. This, behind the microphone on radio. This is what I was born to do. This is what I love to do. And I am honored. I am blessed that you are there in this audience, Mr. and Mrs. America. Great patriots. Thank you for spending your evening with me. Don't forget, we'll be here again tomorrow. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, the men and women in Ukraine, the men and women in Israel, the men and women in Iran, and you, the American people. God bless each and every one of you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.